Hey guys, so today we're going to be making cheesy pull apart milk bread. It's super fluffy and just delicious, so let's get started. Okay, you guys, so I'm starting off with some warm milk. Make sure the milk is warm. You don't want it hot and you don't want it cold. You want it that perfect lukewarm temperature. I'm adding that into a large bowl. Then you're gonna need 2 eggs. One, set it aside for an egg wash we're gonna make later on, and I'm gonna add the other egg in with the milk. As long as the milk was lukewarm and it wasn't too hot, you guys don't have to be worried about the egg cooking here and making scrambled eggs in your bread. Okay, so that's why it's really important. You just want that milk to be warm to help start to activate the yeast a little bit in the bread, but not too hot, because if the milk is too hot, it'll actually kill the yeast as well. Okay, so after I add the egg in with my warm milk, I'm gonna use a whisk and mix it together lightly. So next I added in some yeast and a little bit of sugar. I'm gonna give that a mix in with the milk. Right into that, I'm gonna start adding in my dry ingredients. So I'm adding in the flour, and also the salt was mixed into my flour already. Okay, so next I'm gonna use my whisk, or you can use a spoon, and you're gonna combine all of those ingredients together. So once the liquid ingredients and the flour starts coming together, I'm going to start using my hands to mix the dough and also to start kneading it. Okay, you guys. So I mixed it a little, and then I added in some melted butter. Now I'm gonna mix the butter into the dough really well, and then I'm gonna knead this mixture for about 10 minutes until everything comes together and I have a nice soft smooth dough. Okay, also you might end up needing more than 3.5 cups of flour, so don't be afraid if the dough is still too soft and sticky. You can add in a little bit more flour until you have the perfect consistency that you're looking for, because sometimes I do end up using a little bit more than 3.5 cups. Okay, just knead it for about 10 minutes. You want the dough to be elastically soft and smooth. You can also knead the dough on your counter surface. It's much easier if you transfer it onto the counter surface. Just sprinkle a little bit of flour so that it doesn't stick too much to your counter, and yeah. Okay, so I'm finished kneading the dough now, you guys. So I'm gonna get my bowl. I'm using the same bowl I had the flour in, and I'm gonna spray it with some non-stick cooking spray and place the dough inside of the bowl. And I'm gonna cover it with a kitchen towel and let the dough rest for 1 hour. Really important, it must rest for 1 hour so that it can rise and double in size. Okay, so I like to place this on top of my oven because you want to place it somewhere nice and warm. So what I usually do is turn on my oven, let it get hot, and then I let the dough sit right next to the oven covered. Okay guys, so after 1 hour, I'm gonna uncover the dough and I'm gonna place it on top of my counter surface. Don't forget to sprinkle your counter surface with a little bit of flour to prevent the dough from sticking. Okay, and next what I'm gonna do is, so I spread the dough out a little bit and I'm gonna cut it in half, so I have 2 pieces of dough. Okay, and we're gonna work with 1 piece of a dough at a time. Okay, so put the other one aside, and I'm gonna lightly roll out the dough to a flat shape, kind of a flat rectangular square shape. Okay, you just want it to be flat but not too thin. So for this first piece of dough in this bread, I'm only gonna add cheese. Okay, in my second piece of dough for the second bread, I'm gonna add cheese and some butter, so it's gonna be a buttery cheesy bread filling. All right, so for the first piece of dough, I'm adding some mozzarella cheese and also a blend of Mexican cheese or whatever cheese you want to use for your bread. But I do like adding a little bit of mozzarella cheese in here because it gives it that nice cheesy pull. Okay, so add a nice good even layer of the cheese mixtures. Spread it out evenly. Don't add it too much to the end because we are gonna roll this and you don't want the filling to ooze out and all of that. Alright, so add a nice good even layer. Okay, so I'm just starting from one end and I'm gonna roll the dough tightly into a log basically. Alright, so make sure you roll it tightly, and when you reach the end, you're gonna tuck in both ends of the dough, making sure the cheese is sealed inside of the dough, and also seal the inside of the dough where we stopped rolling it at. Okay, so once you finish rolling, you're gonna get your knife and you're gonna cut the dough like you see me doing into about 5 to 6 pieces or so. Okay, so next you want to get your pan. So if you have a loaf pan, use that. I didn't have one, so I'm using this one right here, which is a little bit bigger than a loaf pan, but I'm gonna make it work. So spray the baking dish or the loaf pan with some non-stick cooking spray, and then you're gonna place the bread together into the baking dish. So you're gonna keep all of the slices you made together. All right, you hold them all together, press together, and place them into the baking dish. So next you want to take the egg that we set aside and crack it into a bowl or a cup, and then add a little bit of water to that to make an egg wash. And then get a brush. If you don't have a baking brush, you can use clean paper towel and just dab it into the egg wash, and then pat it on top of the bread. Okay, so I'm gonna use my brush to brush the top of the bread with the egg wash. All right, make sure you coat the sides as well. Then cover the bread and place it somewhere nice and warm and let it rest for another 30 to 40 minutes. Okay guys, so now I'm gonna work on the second piece of the dough, and I'm basically doing the same thing I just did with the first half. The only difference for this one is after I roll it out using my rolling pin, I'm gonna melt a little bit of butter. So you want to use a good quality butter here. So I'm using Kerrygold butter. This is so good. Just gonna melt a few tablespoons of it into the microwave. It doesn't have to be melted all the way. It could be just softened butter. So you want more kind of softened butter. And I'm gonna brush it on top of the dough all over. So after I add my softened butter on top of the dough, next I'm gonna take my cheese and sprinkle it on top of the dough. Add a nice good even layer, and you're gonna do the same thing I just showed you guys for the first half of the dough. Once you finish adding all of the toppings, you're gonna roll it from one side to the other end, making sure you tuck in the ends. After I finish rolling the dough, I'm gonna make some slices, and the amount of slices you make, it really doesn't matter. Just don't cut it too thin, okay, because we do have to lift up the dough and place it into the baking dish. So you don't want to make it too thin to where the dough is too flimsy. So after I slice it, I'm going to place it into my sprayed baking dish, or if you have a loaf pan, even better. And then we're gonna brush the top with some egg wash and set it aside. Cover the dough and let it rest for 30 to 40 minutes. And after the 30 to 40 minutes, I'm gonna take my dough right here and I'm gonna place it into my preheated oven. I preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and I'm gonna place the bread into the oven to bake for about 20 to 30 minutes until it's golden brown and perfectly baked like this. All right, so once the top becomes nice and golden brown, your bread is finished baking. You can remove it from the oven, and here we have our perfectly baked bread. So I'm brushing the top with some of that melted butter. Okay, so you're gonna glaze the top with that, and you guys, that is it. So this is the first loaf I baked. If I had a loaf pad, it would come out a little more straight, but you know, I made what I had to do. So yeah, it looks absolutely delicious and it tastes amazing. And then I'm gonna also show you guys me cutting into the bread. And here's the second loaf of bread that I did. This one has the melted butter inside of it, and as you can see, it looks amazing. So I'm about to pull apart the bread so you guys can see the inside and see how cheesy and delicious it looks. It's so good, so good. So yeah, look at the inside. Oh my god, look at that pull. I think this is the perfect combination: hot bread and cheese. Perfect, delicious. But yeah, that is it for this recipe, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys give the recipe a try. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel so you can see my upcoming videos. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.